Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Man Cave. This is probably going to be a short one today because I spent the whole morning at the doctor, the urologist. He, gave me one of these 24-hour kits where you do your business in the jug, I guess, and they are supposed to be able to analyze that and figure out what's causing your kidney stones and things. And he's fairly confident he can do that. He said about 80% of the time it works, so 8 out of 10, I guess. So pretty good odds. But with my unique, weird system, it will not surprise me at all if they come back and say, well, it was undeterminable, or we couldn't really figure it out. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't know, but then again, he may be able to tell me exactly what I need to do to get rid of these things. In other news about the kidney stones, I will just say this. I mentioned already that I passed a second one since the one that lasted almost 3 weeks. Then I passed yet a second one, and the second one I did pass it with my exercise. I woke up in the middle of the night, pretty much just woke myself up screaming out in pain because I didn't even know what the pain was, and then it took me a while before I really figured out that it was a kidney stone. So then I just immediately went into the other room to the couch, did my exercise, and the stone passed almost instantly. Well, it probably took 30 seconds on that one. Some of them pass like within 5 or 6 seconds. Others will pass within 3 or 4 minutes. But if the stone's very large, it won't pass. If you don't know what I'm talking about in terms of this exercise, I do have a video out there just called, if you just type in RSW kidney stones in YouTube, you'll find it. I may put out an updated version of that here before long because I think I've learned a few more things that I could add to the video that might help somebody. I definitely do get lots of emails from people that say, thank you for putting that out there. That definitely helps. It really helps. And then other people say, no, it didn't work for me. Well, I think it's the size of your stone. If it's a large stone, it isn't going to work. If it's a reasonably small stone, say 3 millimeters or smaller, whoops, I don't know what your screen looks like, but I just bumped the mouse here and it moved the screen off the screen. Anyway, I don't know if it did that on your end or not, but it sure did on my end. Anyway, if it's 3 millimeters or smaller, it seems to work pretty good. Right at 4 millimeters, it's on the edge, I think. I don't think it works so good on the bigger stones. In terms of discussions from past, I think like last Thursday night when I had that sing-along or play-along, people brought up Dottie Rambo, that as being the writer of that new song that I learned, and Build My Mansion, something like that, I think is the title of it. I can't remember the exact title, but anyway, Dottie Rambo wrote it, and there's a very good documentary on Dottie Rambo on YouTube. I watched the whole thing yesterday, and I put a link in the description of today's video to that documentary if you're interested. It's a good one, and I have newfound respect for her because she had a tough life. She really did. She started off in a tough situation, and it seemed almost always just get worse. It seemed like to me. Poor gal, she did have a rough way to go, and but through it all, she kept her faith and wrote some really wonderful songs. Was named I don't know the exact title, but something like Country Gospel Songwriter of the Century, something like that, and I think probably very much deserved it. So anyway, it's a good documentary. If you're interested, there is a link in the description. I only have one very short video for you here, and we might as well get to it. So here it is. Well, not a ton of progress, but I did get the drywall up here. I did get the drywall up here and here. And Sue did a little bit of taping. She's not, real up on the taping thing. I can get that done, but unfortunately I was at the doctor's office all morning, so she did a little bit there. But what you can't see is there was some insulation missing through in a place or two up here, and I filled that in with insulation, and then of course I filled in with insulation above the panels that I put in here. I have not yet fixed these holes, but what I'm basically going to do is put a couple of boards behind there, screw to them, and then just fill in drywall there. I might square that one off a little bit just to make it easier to fill. We're thinking about getting an expandable type, like a curtain type deal, but more of like a, like a super folded type curtain that you can expand and move it over to the ends or whatever. We're thinking about putting something like that in here. Don't really know what we're going to put in here yet, but it'd be nice to block that off and then, clean all this up and make it look halfway decent. And I'm sure we'll be putting a new floor in here too. The floor is a mess because Sue did a porcelain job on a bathtub in here, one of those clawfoot bathtubs. And anyway, it just messed up the floor really bad. But the floor was already bad anyway, so it was no great loss. She just had a rug down in here. But anyway, we're going to fix her all up sooner rather than later. Just going to take a little time. Yeah, that's just yet another project. I also do have the new tire for the Ferguson tractor for that rear, so I've got to get that put on. I'm still working on the pond project, but I'm trying to do this indoor stuff right now because of the heat and humidity. It's just miserable outside, so I'm not doing a whole lot outside right at the moment. We may as well go ahead and get to the comments and see what all's going on here. David Tharp says, howdy y'all, and then he says, this is ridiculous. Here it is July 29th, and people are still shooting off fireworks. The 4th of July is over. One of those fireworks almost caught my Christmas decorations on fire. Yeah, that's terrible when they keep, dragging on something like that. Donald Matthews, this seems to be the summer of pond repairs on YouTube. Of the 6 I follow, only you and Mike Morgan appear to have solved the issue with the pond. Yeah, Mike Morgan, I've been watching his as well. Yeah, so I'm 99% sure mine's fixed. It's just now I'm just got to decorate it, make it look better. It's really all that amounts to. Mine wasn't real super serious. I mean, that a tree root going through a pond dam it's more of just a pain in the neck than it is a big serious problem for the most part, if you know how to fix it and if you've got the equipment to fix it, and we do, of course. Bill Webb says, good afternoon. Bill Webb also says, I'm using my downtime to put my songs in the computer with the story behind the song. Cool. David Tharp says, I have the heart of a lion and the lifetime ban from the St. Louis Zoo. Okay. Let's see. Again, I'm looking just mainly for the question marks, folks. Gino Hitch says, hi, Jerry and friends, still working on the wife's bathroom, changing galvanized to PVC. Hope the pond repair goes well. Our new AC is keeping the house at 69. Well, 69, pretty chilly, pretty cool. I mean, that's I like that kind of temperature. Sue would be frozen to death. She wouldn't be able to stand that. We keep ours around 72, roughly, and that's a good compromise. And she's still cold at 72. David Tharp, my computer beat me at chess this morning, but I beat it the next match we had. It was no contest for me at That's kind of what a lot of computers needs, a good kickbox every once in a while. Rod Wentler says, hi, Jerry and gang. Ronald Todd says, good afternoon, Jerry and everyone from the West Banks of New Jersey. David Thorpe says, 2 cows were grazing in a field. One cow says to the other, do you ever worry about mad cow disease? The other cow said, why should I care? I'm a helicopter. See, that's the reading thing again. I have no idea what I just read. 2 cows are grazing in a field. One cow says to the other, do you ever worry about mad cow disease? The other cow said, why should I care? I'm a helicopter. Okay. I sort of get it and I sort of don't. It's terrible. It's terrible. Don't laugh at me. You're making fun of my handicap. Dottie's praying for us. Thank you, Dottie. Wavy Grave says, 20 years ago we had Johnny Cash, Bob Hope, and Steve Jobs. Now we have cash, no cash, no hope, and no jobs. Yep, I've heard that one before. Let's see. Wavy Gravy, you forgot the part about hoping Kevin Bacon is okay. Let's see. After we went live, Dottie says, hit that like button. It doesn't cost anything, and it helps me a lot. And I appreciate that because it does. The more activity they see, the more comments, all of those kinds of things helps on these kinds of videos. David Tharp, the pen is mightier than the sword, provided you shoot it out of a gun. Yeah, that is probably true. Hugh O'Connor, kidney stones, stop drinking cola. Well, you know something about that? I've heard that from a number of quote-unquote average citizens. I've heard that from lots of just, everybody on the street kind of people. But the kidney doctors themselves, when I ask them about it, they go, no, it's no big deal. They say, as long as you're drinking fluids. That's what they say. So I don't know. Believe what you want, I guess. But I do think there's a ton of hype about cola, about soda, about corn syrup, about sugar. I think there's so much hype about it that everybody jumps on the bandwagon and says, yeah, it's terrible. You can't do that. You can't do this. You can't do that. But that's all I eat and drink is crap like that. And every test I ever get comes back near perfect. Yeah, I've got kidney stones. Okay, I'll take that over all the other reports that I see from other folks. You know what I'm saying? And again, I'm not saying that's because of that or not. I'm just saying that I don't think any of us have a good guess. I think we all just get on a idea and we just write it to the end, And I don't think any of us have a good idea about that kind of stuff. I don't think sugar is that bad for you. I don't think corn syrup's that bad for you. That's just my opinion, but everybody's got an opinion. So feel free to feel different. Apparently, eating your green vegetables is not what makes you healthy, because I'm pretty dang healthy overall. I could be struck down in the next 5 seconds. I get that. I know that. I'm not trying to sound like a smart aleck. I'm trying to make you see a bigger picture, that maybe some of this hype that we're seeing on the internet where, everything, you can't do this or that, it's all bad. Well, maybe, maybe it is. Maybe it's not. I just think you need to analyze everything you hear and see these days, because there's so much of it out there, and a large amount of it is crap, in my opinion. Bullhorn, my buddy, says, hey, Jerry and friends, I'm celebrating 71 years today. My mind thinks I'm 40, but my body is having a hissy fit. Well, I kind of a little bit like that. I honestly, if I didn't have to look in a mirror, I swear to you, I'd think I was 25, maybe 35, somewhere in there. But when I have to look in the dadgum mirror, it don't look like that. So I don't know. Let's see. Kelly Manis, does the Rosa maneuver work for women too? Well, Kelly, I ain't never been one of them. I honestly can't say for sure. I can't honestly say for sure. I've gotten lots of comments from people, but I can't remember whether or not they were men, women, whatever. I read them and say, thanks for the notes, that kind of thing. But I think it does. I think it does. I don't think that, I think the idea is that somehow or another, by getting in that position, it changes those tubes. Like, for instance, the way it works, or at least the way I understand the way it works, and I don't know it all, but I kind of know this from two reasons. Number one, from dealing with it, but also my daughter, Rochelle, she had what they call bilateral reflux when she was a baby, and she had 106 fever. Her fever went through the roof, and it's a very long story, very interesting story, the way the doctor diagnosed it and the whole bit and how many other people blundered with it. But the point is that what they had to do for her, the tubes that go from her kidneys down to her bladder came in up high on her bladder. They didn't come down underneath her bladder. Apparently, by the tubes going down and underneath the bladder, that pinches that urine off. And if it doesn't pinch it off, the urine will back up to the kidneys, and that's what gave her fever and everything. Well, my point about saying that is that the way I understand it, those tubes do attach under the bladder. Well, when you get in the position I get into, it apparently straightens that tube out enough, or the bladder falls or something, and it allows that stone to pass through. That's the best I've got on it. That's just me thinking it through, that's the way it works. It may not work that way, but that's the way it seems to work to me. If anybody knows different, feel free to say so. But all I know is it's almost a black and white thing that your stone will pass if it's not real big. If it's real big, then, all bets are off. Anyway, Dottie says, happy birthday to Bo. And let's see. David Tharp says, I knew a guy who failed a colorblind test. Not me. I don't know any of those guys. He said, I wasn't expecting that. It came straight out of the purple. My brother, Scott, he didn't know he was colorblind either. And he was going to be in the control tower, those guys in the control tower. Again, I'm trying to think of a name of something. I can never do that. Those, well, you know what I'm talking about. For the airport. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, he couldn't do it because he was colorblind. Dottie Hillebrandt, 96 in South Carolina feels like 106. Yeah, it feels just like that here too. It really does. And it's in the high 90s every day here right now. And the humidity just hits you just like a wet towel, a hot wet towel in the face when you walk outside. Bruce Ducker, I feel you, Jerry. It was 98 in the shade and 120 in my garage yesterday. Repeating today. Yeah, and when I was working on that utility room, I had to get into that attic, like this high. I'm through the ceiling this high, placing that installation around. Oh, let me tell you, I don't know what the temperature was, but it was way up there. It was really up there. I was sweating through my clothes so bad. Scott Roberts, Bill Webb, would you be interested in sharing some of those stories behind the song and used here on the radio in Oregon? Let's see. Joe Barlow, hi Jerry, been following for a while, not into instruments, but loved watching you fix them. Love all the new ones on the farm since you retired. We would get along good, feel better. Well, yeah, I'm sure we would, Joe. And if you're ever out this way, feel free to stop in. We're right off of Highway 44, for those of you who don't know. So it's the old, kind of like it's at least along the old Route 66. In fact, part of that route is just across the highway from where we are here. So if you're ever traveling old Route 66, well, you're going to go right by us. So we're only 3 miles from that point. So stop in anytime if you want to. William McCormick, 98, Lake City, Florida, feeling 114 weather, pros say. Yeah, I don't doubt it. Yeah, I would have no desire to be in Florida right now with these kind of temperatures. Wayne Blitz, good afternoon. Okay, let's see. Zacharek 55 says, high fructose corn syrup is different. High fructose corn syrup. Well, I don't know which way you mean it's different. Is it different good or different bad? All I know is I don't think it's that bad for you. I just don't. I really, truly don't. I think people just get on these kicks. Well, I mean, I hate to even say this because it sounds like I'm thumbing my nose at something, and I'm not really. I'm just trying to point out the differences. And that is that poor Renee, Emery's mother used to just get on me all the time. Like, you need to be eating more healthy, and you need to be doing this, and you need to be doing that. Well, didn't work out so good. None of us know when it's our time. None of us, it's like a blessing each day when you wake up without a problem. The cancer thing, there's so many things that can get you. And who knows what's causing all that stuff. Some of it's obvious. Some of the smoking things, they pretty much nailed that down. But a lot of this stuff, I think they just hype it up and somebody gets on a kick and it takes off like a snowball going downhill. And everybody just buys into it and believes it. And I think that's the way it is with sugar, salt, and corn syrup and all these other things. I don't think there's as much to it as people think there is. If there was, I'd be dead. That's black and white now. Mike Saba, I think that cow that David was talking about was sniffing hide glue. Shiny cage, air traffic controller. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, I don't know why I've been that way my whole life. I try to say something. That's why I never went on Jeopardy. I swear to God, I think I could clean up on Jeopardy. I'll sit there and look at it and go, I just can't say that stupid word. I know the word. I just can't say it. It's so dumb. Paul Akers, speaking of humidity, what is the percentage of humidity would you say lacquer or shellac outdoors? Well, I'd say as low as you can get it. Seriously, whenever I had to spray, like during this time of the year, I would open up my door to my shop, literally stand in the door where the air conditioning was, spray toward the outside, spin it around, spray it, and then hang it up inside the air conditioning where it's dry. And if you didn't do that fast, it would still cloud up on you. Now, like I said, if you use the Mohawk retarder, it has to be the Mohawk retarder. All the other ones, and I've tried 3 or 4 or 5 other ones. I don't know how many other ones I tried. None of them work worth a darn. I wouldn't even give you 5 cents for all of it you could put in a pickup truck. It was that bad, in my opinion. But the Mohawk retarder works, and it works every time. So that's all I can tell you. As low as percentage of humidity you can get to work with lacquer, because it don't like humidity. Bill Webb, Sir Scott, I would be happy to do that. Yep. Well, guys, like I said, I thought this was going to be a short one, and I think it is. But I appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate the support. And I'm going to try to get that taping job done in there and try to get that out of my hair. Maybe even, I won't get the taping completely finished today, but I'll at least get one good coat on everything, I think. And then maybe another coat on it tomorrow, hopefully, if it dries. And then we'll be pretty much downhill on that and leave the rest of it up to Sue to decorate it and paint it and all that kind of stuff. Michael Turek says, I bet the horseflies are loving this heat. Yeah, there's a lot of horseflies, and the martins are thinning out. There's still a few of the martins still here. I'm kind of surprised that they all didn't leave at the same time. Ronald Todd, Paul, be careful with lacquer and humidity. High humidity and moisture will turn lacquer white. You know, that's what I was saying. It will cloud up on you for sure with high humidity. You want the humidity to be as low as possible. Okay. Well, guys, I think that's going to be it. Thank you so much for your time. We will see you tomorrow with something else.